On the screen you will see some pictures. Do you know what fractions each of those pictures represents? Have a think. Well, hopefully you know that this picture represents the fraction 1/3, also called 1/3, and that means that it's been split into 3 equal parts and one of them is shaded, in this case grey. What about this one? Well, you can see that it's been split into 4 equal pieces, so 4 is my denominator, and 3 of them are shaded grey. Here, my rectangle has been split into 8 equal parts and 7 of them are shaded grey. What about this picture here? Well, if you're quick, you might have seen that it's 10 squares by 10 squares, and that means it's got a denominator of 100. It's been split into 100 equal parts. 100 equal parts, and 24 of them are shaded. And from our previous lessons this week, hopefully you can tell me that's 24 hundredths. But can you also remember the decimal that was the same as that fraction? 0.24. That is your decimal for that fraction, 24 hundredths. Now these fractions that are out of 100 are really special. And I wonder if you already know what they are called. They have a special name. If they're out of 100, they have a special name. And that name is percentage. If you've got a fraction out of 100, you essentially have a percentage. The word percent means out of 100. So our objectives for today are to understand that a percentage is a fraction out of 100 and to be able to write fractions as decimals and percentages. And percentages are really important. You probably see them all around you without even noticing. Percentages are represented by this symbol here. Okay? This symbol here means percentage. So we say that this is 70% charged or 20% charged. So percentage means out of 100 and it's represented by that symbol there. Okay, let's have a look at some of these pictures in more detail. So you can see the top example here. You've got 41 out of those 100 parts that are coloured in there red. 41 parts per 100, and that is represented by 41%. And that's also the same as this fraction here, 41 out of 100. And we know that we say that as 41 hundredths, okay? You can say this is 41 hundredths. You could say this is 0.41, but you can also say this is 41 hundredths. Okay, what about this picture here? Well, this is 25 out of 100. Okay, 25 out of 100. Which we know from our lessons earlier this week is 25 hundredths and 0.25, and that means it is 25%. This one here is 35 out of 100, which we know from earlier this week is 35 hundredths, also 0.35, and therefore 35%. This one here is 5 out of 100, which is also called 5 hundredths. And can you remember where that goes in the place value table? 5 in your hundredths column looks like that. and that is 5%. So, in your exercise book now, I would like you to draw some squares. I only want you to spend about 10 minutes on this task, so just wait to listen to the instructions, then only spend 10 minutes on it, because I have got another task for you to do this lesson. So about 10 minutes on this exercise. So get your exercise book out and draw some squares in it, just like I've done here. But not just any old square, they've got to be 10 by 10 squares. So use the squares in your exercise book, like here, to draw a square 10 by 10 like this. And then, spending no more than about 10 minutes, you can do as many as you can in those 10 minutes. I would like you to draw some pictures in those squares, but they've got to be pretty mathematical pictures. And what I mean by that is as follows. So I'm going to do my best bit of art that I can do in maths, and I'll show you what I mean. So in this 10 by 10 square, I'm going to do a nice picture. And there's my picture. I've done a nice smiley face. Okay? And you're going to do something similar to this. So you're going to draw your 10 by 10 square, and then you can colour in your little squares to make a nice picture. Okay? But that's not it. You've got to do some maths with this as well. At the side of it, I would like you to tell me what fraction you have shaded. So let me count my squares. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've shaded 10 out of my 100 squares. And this is 10%. 10%. And it's also 10 hundredths, which you might remember you write as a decimal like this, 10 hundredths. Okay, so once you've done your little picture, I would like you to put at the side the fraction out of 100, the percentage, and if you can, the decimal as well. So you can make your pictures of what you want, try and be nice and creative. You could even do something similar to me in terms of a house. And I counted these up earlier, and I had shaded in 48 out of those 100 squares, which is 48%. And in terms of a decimal, 0.48. So in the next 10 minutes or so, do as many of those little 10 by 10 square pictures that you can, but most importantly, I want the fraction, the percentage, and the decimal next door to it. So pause this video now to do those, and then come back on the video to do the next and final exercise of the lesson. So this is the final exercise I'd like you to do, and here's an example to help you through that. Example: at Pressfeld, 25% of pupils are in the Saxons. What percentage of pupils are not Saxons? Well, percentage, remember, means out of 100, so if 25% are in the Saxons, then there must be 100 to take away that 25 who are not Saxons. So let's have a look at how we do that. We're going to do 100, take away 25. I know that some of you might be able to do that in your heads, but I'm just going to show you it in a column, and that would be a really good idea to do for these questions. So 100, take away 25. Start off with your units or ones column, and 0 take away 5. Can't do that. So I'm going to go to the next column. there's nothing there. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to borrow or exchange, depending on what words you use for that, and that reduces to a 0. And then I'm just going to bring it forward to here. But I don't need my 10 there, I need my 10 here. Okay, so that has been temporarily moved to this column, but I don't need it here, so I'm going to cross it out. I need it here. Okay, I need my 10 here. What did that go to? It dropped down to a 9. Okay, it's dropped down from a 10 to a 9 there. Okay, so back to my units and ones column. 10 take away 5 is 5, and 9 take away 2 is 7, and 0 take away 0 is nothing. So what am I left with? I'm left with 75%. Okay, so percentages means out of 100, so whatever percentage you're given in the question, you're going to do 100, take away that, and that is what percentage are left. Okay, percentages must add up to 100. So write these out in your exercise book and answer the questions. If you finish that and you've still got some time left, or you want an extra challenge, have a go at these 2 extension questions.